This one's almost done. I have a lot of pieces that I start, but I just don't finish. This one primarily needs a huge cleanup. So this is, of course, a barn owl. And so I was working on this. This is SAA Snort and Blow. So this is a Pronghorn Antelope. Okay. And he's a little dirty. Hey guys, so this is the second vlog entry since I have effectively decided to cut ties with the SVA and announce that I'm done with dragons. I've had a few things going on in the background along with work. My dad is currently moving from his house, the one that I grew up in, into a condo, so a lot of my free time has had to go into helping him pack and preparing things and effectively sifting through my childhood and picking and choosing what I actually get to take with from that collection. Hopefully after this week I can get back on target. Now that's not to say I'm totally done with that project and I can totally focus on here. There is something else going on. Let me just point us all in this direction and bam. So this is one of my dad's trophy mounts. So this is a Pronghorn Antelope, okay, and he's a little dirty. All of these mounts have to be cleaned up, all of them, and some of them have not been cleaned in 30 plus years. Could even go 40 probably. I did manage to get the big elephant in the room that I wasn't going to be able to take with me in the car, and that was the elk. The elk is all done. But I'm still going to be working on cleaning up some of these other taxidermy mounts. I have to go to Van Dyke's and order some cleaner that hopefully will bring the white back out on this antelope mount. And then a friend of mine who works with the Smithsonian, Paul Reimer, he's been kind of giving me some advice on how to restore this guy. And so when I get done getting all of the cigarette smoke and age off of him, he's going to give me some tips and some materials to kind of bring his color back out. So taxidermy restoration is kind of the wrapping up of what's going on and outside of the company. So there's that. So while I did film a vlog entry the next day after I announced I was done with the SVA, I was rambling and off topic and not focused, and that's why I didn't post it. Now, for the company restructuring and the rebuild. This is why y'all came. This is why you're here. It has less to do with taxidermy. Alright, so because we're done with the SVA, we no longer have a place to show the art. If we don't have a place to show the art, we have no place to vend the art. Now, you can do it online because there's going to be a lot of people that are like, I can show my stuff online. That's like a drop of water in the ocean. The internet is such a huge thing right now that you would have to have a phenomenal actual fan base and a phenomenal following on like your social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or Snapchat or whatever. You'd have to have a huge established fan base before your website really would take off. I've done that route. It turned out to be a huge waste of time and effort. So we're going to start back with the basics, back with Business 101. So we have an established merchandising platform that we know what works with merchandising. We have online ways of doing like other versions of merchandising. So when I'm talking merchandising, I'm going to talk about stuff that I can make in-house that is low cost and high resale, and that I can get pretty much anytime I want. And then there's the more expensive stuff that might be attractive for, like, if I got my name out there and I got my reputation out there. So this is stuff that people would want that's like home accessories or phone accessory, tablet accessories. We'll get into merchandising and marketing another day. So that we have taken care of. We don't have to worry about the the $30 or under, or the merchandising niche, so you're not continually having to pump out original artwork or original pieces. It will be useful on multiple different platforms as to a small business model for those who are doing art and crafting, or small personal items that they're being handmade. So it could be soaps too. I don't really consider soaps to be arts and crafts, but there is that. Okay, so things that I have left over from the old business model, and considering how big the old business model was, there's a lot of rebuilding. We still have original artwork, we still have some prints, and I have a limited amount of display items. And by display items, I'm talking like pedestals or folding racks, table racks, wall displays. There's a table display that I have, and there's a table display that I have. There's some suitcases that I can move stuff in, and some pamphlet brochure displays. That's pretty much it. Originals, prints, some display items, and some tablecloths. That's the one I was trying to remember. We have to build the brand back up from scratch, so we're going to have a whole new episode on rebranding. Things that I have to repurchase or redesign for rebranding is going to be business cards. I had a whole box of them somewhere around here. I think I already got rid of them though, because I can't find any of them. I know my normal big suitcase that was in another video that I was going over, like setting up a show, and you guys saw me open it up, and it had a lot of original artwork in it. And the little pouch on the top that's sewn into that soft-sided piece was some business cards with display holders, and that's now empty. So I think when I took it to Florida, I emptied it, but I can't find any of my original business cards that I had to redesign. So I have this one from Florida, which is an anime shop. So here's the thing about business cards is they're small, they're pocketable, and for the most part they're free. But when you're talking business cards, you want a lot of information packed on it, because like with this one, this was actually an anime store out in Old Town, and it would have had to have competed with an anime store that was in Epcot. This one had actual like polymer Dragon Balls, and while both stores featured anime, both stores had different things to bring to the table when it was talking about my buying power, my ability to part with my money, which, okay, both stores did. I bought stuff from both stores. However, this is the only store that had a business card. Okay, so this, when I leave, is going to be the store that I wind up going back to, and back to, and back to, and back to, because I have a takeaway, I have a business card. So I have to get new business cards. I have to get new signage for my booth. If it's table covers or whatever, I'm going to have to figure that out. The folding display is going to have to be redone. So it's about, I don't know, 3 feet tall, 3.5 feet tall. It's 3 panels. They all kind of fold together. It was from an old display that somebody had left at a convention, and a buddy of mine snatched it up and said, here, this is a really nice display, take it with you. The panels that attach with Velcro are sitting in the closet with the rest of like some canvases and such. So we'll go over what price points, PowerPoints, presentation points I want to put on that. Chances are one of them is going to be this YouTube channel. I have not really promoted this YouTube channel. In fact, I don't even have an actual trailer or an ad for this channel, so people click on it and they're actually going to have to click through to the videos or see a link somewhere. So the other thing is going to have to be rebranding this channel, and not really rebranding it as much as it's going to be like more streamlining and getting more advertising and really being more on point with this channel. There was some line of artwork called The Heritage that I was doing. About 6 months ago I decided I was not doing any more commissions. I wasn't doing any more portraits. And that was based on the fact that I had a client that was exceptionally exceptionally difficult. Now, this person was a friend of mine outside of my art and outside of my regular 9-to-5 job. And I kind of let that person kind of coerce me into not running my business the way I normally would. Okay? And we're talking contracts, down payments, timelines, things that we agreed to, and instead of me being in control of that commission where I wanted to be, and where I'm used to being, it turned into an 8-month waiting game and chaos, and them moving up north, and it became exceptionally hard to get that commission done. And for a 3-cat commission, it was like pulling out hair, and it made me never want to do a commission again. I'm going to rescind that and hope to God that maybe it was a one-off kind of thing. Commissions are not something that comes in with me on a regular basis. I don't really push the commissions, but I'm thinking of dedicating one of those 3 panels just for what I call the heritage line. We'll get into the heritage line on another episode, but it is a really good marketing idea. It's a really low material idea, and it's a really good upselling idea to your clients. So we'll get into that on another episode. Merch we already went over. One of the things that I did when I took you guys with me to the Tika show down in Kenosha is that I put a piece up on a silent auction. It was a colored pencil piece that was 3 savannas kind of laying by a pond, and there were some dragonflies in there, and it was a pretty piece. But one of the reasons I put it on silent auction is because it's so heavy and so labor intensive to take all these pieces in frames and mats with glass out to these vending areas, only to potentially drag and bring all these back. Because when you're talking about resale with frames, mats, glass, finished pieces ready to go on the wall, not only is it labor intensive, but it's material intensive because you have to buy all those frames and the mats and the glass. And you have to transport them, which means you have to pack them a certain way so the glass doesn't break and the frames don't get damaged. Because of all of this extra investment, you charge a higher rate, which people don't necessarily want to go with. So I've got a lot of pieces that are framed and matted and ready to go that I don't necessarily want to keep dragging to these shows. In fact, some people may be very, very shocked, depending on who you are and how much you know, that the breakout will be one of the things that's going on silent auction, probably for one of the horse shows, because it's I think a 12 by 48 deep stretched canvas, which means it's bigger than the frame that this shot is. It's a really big piece. Still a really, really, really big piece to haul places, as popular as it is. So that one will also go on silent auction. Something I had gone back and forth with over the years is whether or not I wanted to do outside vending, and it has to do a lot with the things, the reason I quit the SVA, and that's lack of control of the environment that I'm in. 10 by 10 tents can be very, very expensive. You're talking anywhere from $5,000 to $1,000, or $500 to $1,000. So that is an investment of time. If you're not, time and money, if you're not going to be vending outside, along with vending outside, because the tent takes up space, you need tables, because when you vend outside, your show coordinator is not going to provide you tables. Then you get back into, do you have tables available? I currently have inherited one table from work, which is like a little 4 or 6 foot table. We were using it for our crew room. And it's not nearly big enough to really do much anything other than maybe have like some small merchandise on it, but nothing really of any substantial weight. So I will have to invest in another 8-foot table, at least one 8-foot table. I am also going to have to get some dividers for my booth. So when I'm vending inside and when I'm vending outside, it keeps the eye shot in my space. So that's going to entail like some screens and curtains and probably some PVC, so that I can keep people's eyes on my stuff and not in the next booth. A big thing that I lost with doing vending over the years, and it's 10 years old, so I can't even really say it's a loss. It just finally died, and I can move on to more streamlined methods of doing this with a tablet. Is that my laptop died while I was in Florida, so I will have to pick up a tablet, and the whole purpose is to basically reinforce branding with this channel, reinforce that yes, I am the one that does the painting, and it's a nice point of interest. Moving things, when you're talking about 2D artwork, when you get into moving images, really attracts the eye. It gets people from across the, like, people, just vendors will be like, is that you painting? That's really cool. So the stuff we're going to be going over when we're talking about rebranding and rebuilding for the future years is based on years of experience. Each one of these notebooks, this is somewhere between 2 and 3 years worth of experience with running the business, things I've tried out, ideas I've tried out, and basically like results. Like, if was this piece really a good seller? How much did it overall, how much was my profit margin on this? And that's all things you got to consider when you're talking about artwork. Especially with like merchandise where you can wind up buying 60-70 t-shirts and they're each $5 a pop. You think you're going to sell them, but you only sell them in mediums or at large, and then you're stuck with like $45 worth of t-shirts that are small because you wanted to feature all different sizes. So this is a really good basis of things that I can go back on for things that worked, things investment-wise that worked. We have a game plan for what's going to go on. This is another reason why it took me nearly a month after I decided I was done with the SBA, after I was done with my vacation, to really come up with a game plan, because I wanted to hit you guys with the ground running. This is what we're going to do. Now, when we're talking actually physically getting it done, money makes the world move, but money also can crumble a company really quick. And the rule with my artwork has always been that my art has to pay for itself. Okay, so when you're talking about getting a company rebuilt and restarted and rebranding and all of this nonsense, there has always been a rule of thumb, and I stick hard to this rule because it has worked really well with me, and it keeps me in check, and it's one of the reasons, the core way that you start a business. My artwork, the rule number one is my artwork always pays for itself. If I don't get a profit off of it, we don't keep doing it. Because I haven't taken in any commissions, because I haven't been vending, because of politics, and how did one of the members put it? She's a friend of mine that I'm going to retain after this meeting. Don't get involved in groups, but it's group politics and group behavior. I haven't been vending much, I haven't been selling much, and I haven't been showing much. So my profit margin from my art has been like, so I have to decide for myself what I think is a legitimate amount of cash investment out of my own pocket. And it's a decision that you have to decide what you're going to do. Any startup that you want to do as a business is always going to involve you investing in the future of your own business. You know, what can you handle, what can't you handle, where do you want to see it to go? Now, here's a really big, huge piece of advice. Just because you sink $1,000 into displays or $1,000 into a show does not mean you're going to get it back. It does not mean that you're going to get the visibility that you want. And it sure as hell does not mean that you are going to make $1,000 worth of sales. Okay? Understand that. That is a huge thing that not everybody understands. Selling your artwork and selling originals and selling crafts and handmade items is all, a lot of it's word of mouth, a lot of it's traffic, but a lot of it is just a ton of hard work. Okay? You need a certain amount of overhead, which is your pieces that you're bringing to a show that you can take with you. So what you don't want is you don't want a heavy amount of overhead. When you're talking trade shows and such, maybe 15 or 20, but be prepared for that person that may want to buy in bulk, that maybe want 30, 40, 50, and they want to put it in their own, maybe like handmade, featured, small niche store. Generally, I would say with a handmade business kind of thing, I would say anywhere from $200 to $1,000 is a fair amount of startup capital. And this is money that's going to come right out of your pocket. Now, I'm not a big believer in taking out loans, because if you don't make the money back now, you're still paying off the loan, and you're paying off the loan with interest. So I'm a big believer in just setting some money aside and saving some money. And again, this is another reason why it took me this long to get this video done, because after the vacation, and one of the things that I was contemplating on the vacation is, where do I want to go? What's next? And if I do vending, it's a lot of physical work. I'm not 25 years old anymore, and I'm not working with a team of people. So anything that I haul to a show, I got to be able to haul, set up, stand there for 8 to 10 hours a day for 2 to 3 days, and then haul back here. So there's the storage. That's going to be a monthly expense. And that's something that you got to look at, is if you have the storage. But your startup capital being $200 to $1,000, you're talking advertising, you're talking printable materials, so that's part of your advertising budget. So your business cards, pamphlets, banners, anything you're paying publish in a paper or publish on a website, that's part of your advertising dollars. That's going to be part of your startup capital, is getting people to know your business is out there. A fair amount would probably be about $150 to $200 for just starting up. You know, I did say something about being a little anti-internet, because it's like a drop of water in the ocean. That's not to say that no internet presence is a good thing. Currently, I have a listing with the Fine Art America thing. That's a website. I'll put a link here somewhere. So it's fineartamerica.com, and that one I found it was really, really good for doing like prints and merchandising. So you have to look at what you're going to have to analyze for yourself, what you want to bring to these shows, how feasible it is that you are going to be able to move it and set it up and display it. Thankfully, I won't have to reinvest in displays. We'll do another thing with displays. So know what you're selling and who your client base is going to be. That's a really huge thing. That's like the first thing you want to do, is find out what you're going to be selling and who you want to sell it to. And really define the niche for your business model, and then be able to work within that business model. You can always expand, but every time you expand in a certain direction, understand it's going to be risky. It's going to be like doing dragons. This is a pet and wildlife channel. I do dragons every once in a while, or I did. But that just kind of turned into a whole flaming cute little scaled dumpster fire, because I lost a lot of money and time and energy on doing dragons. So that's where we're working. We're going to have a lot of little installments later. We're going to go over business cards and advertising material and brochures and displays and setup, merchandise, websites. We're going to do different shows, scouting different shows, packing and folding and hauling, and it's going to be a whole new game plan now. So I'm hoping I don't lose any viewers in doing this. I'm going to try and balance it out between still creating some artwork and some original work, and still kind of running this as a business model. I've had lots of work, like materials to do new work with, and I haven't made any new work because I haven't had a way of moving it out. So I haven't wanted to do a lot of work. So one of the things that I did take away with this is one of the bonuses of doing the SVA. Bonus tip: I could easily talk myself into donating 2 or 3 8x10 pieces to the SVA for them to do a fundraiser on. So people would buy tickets for $20 or $30. I would see zero kickback on that at all, other than people would run up to me and say they loved the piece and where did I get the inspiration for these pieces. In fact, maybe I'll post, I think the second last one which I did, which was the 3 teachers, which was an 8x10 that I did for the SVA. But I think I could easily be able to justify doing like some 4x6s or some 5x7s, 8x10s, something on a smaller scale, smaller than a piece of typing paper, and be able to sell it off for $20, $30 just to make maybe back my vending fee. So I've got a lot of materials in making and creating, like pads of paper, and I have more pads of paper in here. I have stretch canvases in the closet. I have a lot of materials to make more work, except that I've been just fine not making work with my view count on this channel and whether or not I can actually legitimately sell it at the SVA. Nothing has sold out of the SVA in a year, so I've again been reprioritizing based on bad ideas. One of the most popular videos on this channel was the Galaxy video, and of course I told you guys I was probably going to put a horse with it. I did start that horse. I do have the footage on the computer of me starting this and laying in the color, and of course anybody who's watched more than 3 videos with me knows that this is basically the underpainting for this horse, and we'll be getting into more detailed painting, but this horse's face is like the size of my finger. So it was really hard to film the detailing, and so I didn't necessarily finish that. So now that I can finish that, I could probably put that into a show for probably $100, $120, easily make my booth fees back. What else do I got in here? This was a really old layout that I thought was really cool. I was kind of playing with some kind of watercolor. This needs to get cleaned up because it's really dusty. But I was going to have some horses running down out of the woods and down and around. And that was kind of an idea. I can definitely still play with that. What else do I have? This little pocket here is all work that has been started but not finished. Alright, this is a commission I was going to potentially have, and this is SAA Snort and Blow, who is a he is recently retired. Last year he recently retired, and he is a Polish Arabian that was very famous for doing Liberty at the Midwest Horse Fair in Madison. So I'll give you a little close-up on this so you guys don't think that I'm not doing any artwork. I don't even know. There you go. Now normally I would just leave it without this top border. I did talk to Kim Conrad, and Kim Conrad is Snort and Blow's handler and his owner, and she opted to put this trim up here as kind of a tribute to his halter classes and how many halters he's broken just breaking out of her grasp as she's doing Liberty. So we can finish that up. This was a piece that I started, and I started it for the National Zoo vending show, and so I was in the booth actually doing demos, and so I was working on this. It was kind of a play on the whole thought of some of these watercolor pieces that I had seen that are literally just phenomenal. They've got lots of bright color, and these are little black buck kind of running away, and I was debating about whether or not I wanted to put like a lion back here, just kind of watching them just so that was the concept with this one. This one's almost done. I have a lot of pieces that I start, but I just don't finish. This one primarily needs a huge cleanup. So this is, of course, a barn owl. And, like I said, it needs a lot of cleanup. There's a lot of scuff marks and handprints on it. But this one is going to have like a shaft of light that's going to go behind it, and a little patch of white with some hay, and a little field mouse right here. And just some small details of like a barn in the background. But as you can see, he is very, very detailed. And for the most part, this owl is done. Might need some minor detailing in the wings. This was literally just a background that I painted. I could pretty much do whatever I wanted with this, but it's just a background. So those are like just paintings. I still have to get the halflingers done. So we have to get back into the halflinger thing. I do want to do a little bit more with horses. Because the second most popular video on this channel is that tutorial with doing TJ and Sailor, which is that quarter horse. I did with kind of the black paper and some pens. I haven't done anything with my aquatics station kind of thing. So I was kind of thinking about doing some betas on this black paper. I found a photographer that does some really nice macro photography and does a lot of work with betas, but then I've also wanted to do florals a little bit just to get out of my wildlife niche. So what I might do is do maybe like some florals and maybe like some fish swimming through some florals. So you let me know in the comments whether or not you like that idea. I could always do something a little bit more sinister, like some portraits black and white, but then I've still got black canvases, stretched canvases in there that I can do for some really stunning black background stuff with that. Lots of possibilities, so more artwork in the works, more business tutorials, and after I get done with taxidermy cleanup, we should be able to get some more videos done. So see, like, look right over there. That is a lot of materials to make stuff with. So we'll go over some smaller merchandising stuff. We'll go over a Patreon channel. I think some of the stuff that's going to be more merchandising tips, I think I'm going to leave on that Patreon channel. So that we're not getting bogged down with maybe some crafting stuff. Kind of keep this for more fine art. Because when you're taking your 2D artwork and you print it out on like labels and you put the labels on a candle, and that's crafting, apparently. That's crafting. So, alright, so that's that, and I will catch you later, and hopefully I'll have a video up again this week. Catch you later.